How is it going, everyone? It's K Limited here, and today we are going to be talking about Pokemon Violet on the Nintendo Switch. It's been a bit since I've played a Pokemon game. I played Pokemon Sword. That was the first Pokemon game I ever played, and I decided to pick up Pokemon Violet recently. I played through it, I put about 55 hours into it, and now it is time to talk about Pokemon Violet. Another very fun addition to the Pokemon library, at least if you're a newcomer like me. I'm not sure how the old heads feel about it, but for someone like me who has only played the Nintendo Switch ones, I still really enjoy this one. It is very similar to Sword in, obviously, like the battling and stuff like that. However, it is different in terms of this game is completely free roam. In terms of Sword and Shield, you had a lot more just kind of like set paths and everything. You still could go to a lot of different places, but everything was pretty much set paths that you would follow. This one, it just lets you out in the wild, and you can climb up mountains using some of your Pokemon. Well, one of your Pokemon. You can climb up mountains, you can fly, you can go into the water and swim. You can have so many open, wide areas to go. The entire map is just open, and it is awesome. It is really cool to explore it. However, the Switch does struggle a little bit in some of these areas. When you get to areas that have just a lot of water around them, or if you go into the mountains where it's snowing a lot and you can see the snow falling down on the screen, basically when there's a lot of stuff that's moving on screen at once, the Switch really dips in performance and it starts kind of staggering. You see slowdown, frame rate drops, and it ain't pretty. It is obvious that the Switch needs an upgrade, and the announcement of the Switch 2 will definitely be a really nice, and hopefully will fix some of what you see in this game, some of the issues that you see in this game. Hopefully you'll be able to play this on the Switch 2 when it comes out, and you'll have a lot smoother experience, because on the Switch, it's not the smoothest game ever. However, I will say, this game proves that while performance still matters, it doesn't matter as much as the fun factor, because the fun factor is so good in this game that even when it struggles, I still put up with it because I loved playing through this game. It's a lot of fun. You have a fun storyline to go through. It's kind of your typical go and fight your trainers at the gyms, go and fight these like elite gym trainers and everything, but it does throw it on its head a little bit with some mysteries that they throw in, like some really high-tech Pokemon showing up, and you're not really sure why, but you know that there's this area called Area Zero that everyone is basically forbidden to go to, and you have kind of a feeling that there's something in that area that is contributing to these super advanced Pokemon. And you have three basically big stories that lead you to this Area Zero. You have the average Pokemon gyms that you have to go to that will take you part of the way to Area Zero. Again, like, it's kind of a few steps you have to take to get to Area Zero. You have to complete all of these three storylines to get there. So you complete the gym challenges, you complete all of those. Then you also have to help this character called Arvin. You have to help him get his Pokemon healthy again, which was actually a super touching story that made me want to tear up in a few areas because of how sweet the story was and how also like sad and kind of relatable it is in a lot of ways too, because of how much Arvin cares about his Pokemon and just wanting to see his Pokemon get better. It's really heartwarming, and it's a really cute story. I really like that one. So that's another story you have to do. You have to help Arvin find these plants that will basically help heal his Pokemon, and along the way you are fighting basically giant Pokemons. I think they're called Titans, and it's a really cool storyline. I really like going through that one a lot. And then you have another storyline, and this one's probably the weakest out of the bunch, and it is about this group called Team Star. The Team Star mission is basically about a bunch of kids who are committing truancy, and you are trying to get them to go back to Poke School. We'll talk about the Poke School here in a minute, but the whole point is you're trying to get these kids to go back to Pokemon School, and to do that you have to go basically defeat each leader of Team Star, and to do that you have to go inside their bases. Their bases are all over the map. You have to go inside them, and you have to complete these raids, and you basically have to throw your Pokemon out of its ball and let it auto-attack their Pokemon until you knock out a certain amount in a set time frame. And when you do that, the leader will come out, the leader being the student that's committing truancy. He'll come out, and you will have to defeat him, so he will go back to school. And that's basically the whole storyline with that. I was not a fan of that one. I also was not a fan of really most of the characters involved in that. Even like the main character Penny in that. Really didn't like that character, but either way, it's a small bump in what is a really fun game, and overall a game that has a pretty darn good story. When you do finally get to Area Zero, it is crazy looking. It looks like something out of Made in Abyss, and I don't want to talk about too much about Area Zero, but let's just say when you get there, I think you are going to find a lot of stuff that you see there pretty cool. I definitely felt like it was pretty satisfying to finally get there, and the story gets pretty interesting. I liked it, so that's where I'm going to leave the story. The only thing I will say is that I did mention a Poke School, and that's because there is a side storyline that you can do where you go to a Pokemon school, and you can take classes, and you can answer questions and take tests. I did not complete that because I hated school when I was a kid. Why would I want to do school when I'm an adult? So I did not want to do that one. I skipped a lot of that one. I did some of the classes, but it was boring. I hated doing that stuff. So it's there if you, I guess if you like school. There's probably people out there that like school. I was not one of those. So I was just happy that it was not a requirement to beat the game. So I just skipped most of that completely. So the actual gameplay itself, a lot of fun. The story modes that get you to Area Zero is a lot of fun. The characters you meet along the way I really like, and I like the gameplay of this Pokemon game a lot as well. Being able to walk around in this big open world, having a Pokemon that basically you find on the beach at the beginning of the game, and he's with you throughout this entire journey. When you're going to area, all the way to Area Zero, he's with you the entire time, and he works as like a ride. You can actually ride the Pokemon, and he can climb up mountains, he can fly through the air. You have to get upgrades to get all of these abilities by helping Arven, but when you get these abilities, it just gives you so much freedom in this world. You can go in the water, and he can like act as basically a boat and take you places. There's just a lot of cool stuff that you can do with this Pokemon at your side, and I really like it, and I hope that they keep future Pokemon games like this as well, because it definitely gave you just so much ability in terms of exploring. I really, really liked that. One thing that they did do in this game that I thought was interesting, and I don't think has been done in any other Pokemon game, is that you can throw out your Pokemon and just let the Pokemon walk around with you. Now, the AI, unfortunately, is not very great, and it won't follow you that well, and if you walk too far away from your Pokemon, it will automatically just go right back into its Pokeball. So, it's not a great feature, but it is kind of a interesting thing to do, and it is cool because you can send them into auto battles. I mentioned auto battles a little bit not too long ago in the video, and basically auto battles are just where you let your Pokemon roam free, and if there's a Pokemon weaker than him, he can go and attack it and beat it up. However, if he gets beat up, then your Pokemon's going to get basically run back to you scared and go back into the ball, so keep that in mind whenever you're walking with your Pokemon out. Of course, you still have the standard turn-based battles that you have in the other Pokemon games, and I do enjoy the turn-based battles. Actually, I'll give Pokemon this. I'll give them credit because Pokemon is the first game that I actually was able to get into that had turn-based combat. Usually turn-based combat, it used to completely turn me off from video games, but ever since I started playing Pokemon, I've gotten more and more into turn-based video games. So I'll give them credit to where credit's due. Their turn-based gameplay, I think it's some of the best entry-level turn-based gameplay that you can actually play. It's really fun, really addictive to get in these Pokemon battles, and it's nice, especially because there's not random battles that just keep happening over and over again. You actually have to go interact with people to battle them, and then once you do battle them, you have the awesome turn-based Pokemon battle system that you are used to. It's a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed doing that. Getting to spend quality time with Pokemon in this is also pretty fun. I think that the way that you get Pokemon eggs in this game is a lot easier than at least it was in Sword and Shield, and I do prefer it this way. All you really have to do is make sandwiches, and you can make sandwiches at picnics, and you can basically get this thing called egg power, and when you get it when you're at a picnic, eggs will pop up in your basket and you can hatch Pokemon. And it's a really easy way to do it compared to the other games that I've played, and I was completely fine with that. I also like the sandwich making. It's like a little mini game and everything. I always like it when they do these little mini games in any of these Nintendo games. Zelda had one. Breath of the Wild had this cooking mini game. So whenever there's anything like that, I always love it because I always just love making weird sandwiches and just mixing things together and just seeing what happens, seeing what the outcome is. So I do like the little cooking feature in this where you can make your own sandwich. I will say it's not as good as the Pokemon picnics in Sword and Shield where you can make curry. I think that one was actually better, but it's still okay. I still enjoyed it for the most part. You can also bathe your Pokemon in this one to keep them clean, which I thought was kind of funny, and you can also play ball with them. However, playing ball with them isn't quite the same as it was in Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield, it felt like you could spend time with the Pokemon just a little bit better. You know, it felt like you could actually play with the Pokemon. You could pick up the ball and you could chuck it and everything. This one, it's not nearly as well designed, I will say. The actual like raids that were in Pokemon Sword and Shield are back. I think in Sword and Shield they were called like VMAX raids or something like that, because they would have like these giant Pokemon, and then you would go and battle these giant Pokemon. You could battle them with like other players, or you could battle them with the AI. I wish to battle them with the AI. However, those are back, but they use the new gimmick. The new gimmick is this like terastallization. Terastallization? Is that how you say it? I don't know. It's this stupid thing. I honestly don't like it that much. It's this thing where your Pokemon turns into crystal, and the crystal form looks cool, except for the stupid crown they wear on their head. They wear this crown, and it looks just ridiculous, and I hate the crown. If it wasn't for the crown, I would be 100% okay with this ability, but the crown just ruins the look of the Pokemon, so I have to be honest. So, not a big fan of that. However, it's basically the exact same whenever you're doing, you know, the Terra battle, whatever it is called. Whenever you're doing those battles, it's basically the exact same thing as doing the VMAX battles in Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's nearly identical, just the Pokemon have a different style. And a worse style, I might say. But overall, I do enjoy this game. It's still fun. I know that I've kind of put this game down in some areas, but overall, the fun factor of this game is just really, really good. Collecting the Pokemon is really fun. I like the Pokemon that are in this game. I think there definitely could have been more. I'm disappointed that some of the Pokemon got left out. My favorite from Generation 1, Goldeen, isn't in this, and I just feel like at this point, every Pokemon from Generation 1 should be put in every video game. Like, why would you not do that? But whatever. It's fine. I just wish that was in there. Also, I haven't even seen a Charmander yet. Like, what's up with it? Again, I haven't even seen Bulbasaur, or Venusaur, or Squirtle. I haven't seen Squirtle either. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. But either way, I think that the gameplay itself is fun, even though there's definitely some missed opportunities, some performance issues, and graphically, while the game looks fine up close, when when things are close to you, there is really bad pop-up in a lot of areas, especially with like the environment, grass, Pokemon just popping up randomly, so that stuff doesn't look great either. It's a fun game that has a lot of performance issues, and definitely could have used some more Pokemon that a lot more people are familiar with. But that's fine. I still enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the game to put 55 hours into it. So I think that it's fair to say that this game is worth the price tag of it. You're not going to see Pokemon games drop. In fact, most of the time, you're unfortunately going to see Pokemon games just rise in price. So at this point, you might as well get this game while it's still, affordable, because it won't take long probably for these games to start spiking, and you don't want to pick up this Pokemon game when it ends up being the same price as a lot of the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance Pokemon games. So go pick up Pokemon Violet, go play it. It is a fun game. It just has some issues, but hopefully with the release of the Switch 2 when that comes out, this game will run better. We'll see. But on the Switch, just how it is, it's a fun game with issues. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you in the next one. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.